From Grandma's recipe, handwritten on a piece of paper in 1982 and tucked away in her recipe book, to this delicious pot of lentil soup, this vintage recipe is a winner. Okay, let's get started. 1982 recipe from grandmother's recipe box. This is a recipe from Home and Garden. I don't know what Home and Garden, because I know there were a bunch of regional ones around at the time. Anyway, let's get started. So this one calls for a 1/4 cup of oil. Let's add butter. I'm not changing this recipe up too much, but there are a couple things. For example, it calls for 1 clove of garlic in a 12-cup soup batch. 1 cup of garlic isn't going to do a damn thing at that point. So I'm going to add a couple more cloves of garlic. And you know me anyway. I mean, what is a few more cloves of garlic? I'm going to get my butter going in here while I get my wedgies ready to go in, because with soup, you want to start with your fats and then get your aromatic vegetables, your celery, onion, carrot. They all take a couple extra minutes to start cooking down. So remember, everything's going to go on a spoon, so you don't want it cut up too huge, especially celery. Celery and broccoli I can just do without, but I understand that they are a necessity. They are just one of the building blocks to making a great soup. So we're going to put in about 2 cups of celery, leaves and all. Don't be afraid of the leaves. There's so much flavor in the leaves. Don't throw them out. You have my permission to throw them out if the leaves are looking a little funky. Sometimes that happens. You know, the leaves get a little discolored and nasty looking. All right. In goes the celery. I've got 1 onion. You're going to want to use a brown, aka yellow onion. You could use red onion if you wanted to, but it's going to discolor in this. You could use shallot if you wanted a milder onion flavor. I would not use sweet onion. This soup does not need sweetness, so don't worry too much about the sweetness. My onion's growing a little bit, so I'm just going to pull the inner sprouty stuff out. I'm sure it wouldn't kill me to eat it, but I don't know. I just don't like it in there. Okay, let's talk about the lentils. This is lentil soup after all. There are red lentils, yellow lentils, green lentils, brown lentils, all sorts of lentils. For this recipe, you want green or brown lentils. Why? They hold their shape a little better. Yellow and red lentils, they just get mushy. And I want to see the lentils still. I want them cooked, but I want to see them. I want to see some definition in the soup. In goes our onion. This is a rather large onion. I'm just going to use about half of it. I don't want my soup to taste just like onion. Okay, and we'll give this a stir. Okay, I'm just going to let that go and off to the side here. Oh, that's heavy. Okay, let's talk about the lentils. Lentils come in a bag. They are dusty AF. You need to take care of your lentils before you dump them into your soup pot. You do not want the dust. You do want to pick through them like you would dried beans, looking for little pebbles, twigs, things that should not be there. You would not believe the number of times I've pulled pebbles out of lentils and beans and whatnot. If they look good, then you're going to get a strainer. Now you do need a fine mesh strainer for this because lentils are tiny. They will fall through the holes of most normal strainers. All right, batch 1. We'll just have a look at batch 2. Oh, see, there's something that shouldn't be there. It looks like a little bit of stem or something. Just having a quick look through here. Well, these look pretty clean. All right, in they go to the strainer. I'm just going to give these a quick rinse. All right, lentils are ready to go. Let's have a look here at our onions and celery. Ooh. I have a big old Dutch oven on top, which weighs 1,000,000 pounds. All right, these are cooking down nicely. You want to give them 4, 5, 6 minutes for the onion to start cooking down. Onion needs high heat and fat to start cooking down. If you put just straight up onion into your soup, you're going to get onion that isn't softened. It's going to still stay hard. I'm gonna get the garlic ready. Grandmother's recipe calls for 1 clove. I'm not gonna cook with 1 clove. I'm gonna cook with 3 cloves. Look, there's ham and smoked sausage in this soup. It can handle 3 cloves of garlic, trust me. I don't think Grandma was allergic to too much garlic. I think it was just a question of, that's how they cooked in those days. You know, way back, there wasn't a lot of big flavor in things in everyday cooking. Like if you got into Tex-Mex, you know, into the Southwest, sure, you're going to find bigger flavor. You're going to find flavor in other ways, but a lot of the recipes from then, you know, early 80s, sooner or earlier, there's just not a lot of flavor. The garlic, I'm just going to give it a rough chop. It is going to cook down in the soup, so you don't have to worry about, you know, microplaning it or slicing it or finely whatevering it. It just needs a rough chop. And I do cut the little butts off the garlic. I don't know. Old school Jen, taking that off. It just, you know, you don't want to eat it. It's kind of woody and has no flavor. Okay, we don't want to brown the veggies. You want to saute them. That is not browning them. So watch your heat doesn't get too hot. When you think it's pretty close, you can add the garlic. The garlic will need another 2 or 3 minutes. Now, I'm going to add my sausage because the sausage, like the veggies, likes a bit of high heat to get that flavor to come out. And that's what we want. We want all that flavor to come out. Now, the recipe said to cut the sausage in 1/2-inch slices. That'd be a big hunk of sausage on your spoon. I'm all in favor of big hunks of sausage, if you know what I mean, but not on my spoon. I want to have sausage and celery and lentils and all the things on my spoon. So I've cut them a little slicer. But you do you. If you want a big hunk of meat on your spoon, then go for it. Okay, it just needs a minute in there to help get that flavor to start coming out. Ham, I'm using leftover ham. This is a perfect use of leftover ham. I buy big chunks of ham from Costco. The kids eat on it. I cook with it. And then I end up freezing about half of it. And then I have it for recipes like this, and it's genius. I just take it out of the freezer, thaw it, dice it, ready to go. I'm reusing. I don't need to go to the store. All right, I'm gonna give that a minute in there. Let me check my recipe. Oh yeah, Grandma's recipe called for 1/2 teaspoon of hot pepper sauce, so something like Tabasco. 1/2 teaspoon of hot pepper sauce, you're just not even gonna taste it. I've jazzed it up just a little bit with my favorite smoked hot paprika. I love this stuff so much. I have a giant jar of it, and I have more. It's so good. It's just going to add a smoky richness and a little bit of heat to this recipe. Don't put it in too soon though, because paprika will burn. Fun fact. I'm going to get my paprika in. You need salt. Lentils are kind of like pasta and potatoes. They need salt up front. Now, you could use chicken stock. You could use vegetable broth. This recipe calls for water. We're going with water. Normally, I would use chicken broth or something like that, but Grandma's recipe says water. We're going with water. All right, in go our lentils. I pounded them, and now I need to get some water. It's going to take 12 cups of water. So give me a minute. I'm going to get the water in here, and then we'll be right back. Okay, good job, Jen. My pot is not big enough. I only have in here 10 cups of water instead of 12. So I am going to switch pots, but not just yet. I want to talk just a little bit about this soup. Now, there are 12 cups of water in it. That is a lot of water. Lentils are going to cook in about 25-30 minutes. So this soup does not need to cook all day long. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cook it with the lid on it for about 15 minutes, and then I'm going to take the lid off of it. By taking the lid off of it, what you're doing is allowing some evaporation, and that's going to concentrate your flavors, and that's just going to make a better tasting soup. So everything's in the pot. It's chunky, it looks delicious, and I'm going to bring it up to a boil. I'm going to put the lid on it, and then I'm going to pop it over here on this stove. 15 minutes with the lid on, 15 minutes with the lid off, and then our soup will be good to go. Okay, so I switched pots because the other one, as you saw, wasn't quite big enough, you know, spatial problems, I guess. I don't know. I'm a cook. I don't know how to judge volume. Okay, so it is done. Let's have a look. Ooh, heavy. So I cooked it for about 15-20 minutes with the lid on, just to give those lentils a head start. And then I took the lid off and let it simmer for another 15-20 minutes. You don't want to boil the crap out of this. A simmer means just a couple bubbles happily dancing to the surface. If you boil the crap out of it, you're going to lose all the definition in your lentils. And you can see here that the lentils are still nice and round. They are cooked, but they are nice and round. Lovely. All right, give it a little taste. I'm just tasting the broth because it would take 5 minutes of blowing to get it cooled, a spoonful cooled down. It's pretty good. Lentils have a distinctive flavor to them. They're kind of grassy. They're kind of warm. I don't know. But the soup is done. It's delicious. It's got the right amount of salt. I find it interesting that this older recipe didn't use chicken stock or chicken broth as the base. Instead, just getting all the flavor out of the ham and the sausage and the lentils is really important. It's a delicious, hearty, homey soup. And I call this one a win. All right, so lentil soup from 1982, Home and Garden, from Grandmother's recipe box. She hated being called Grandma. This one's a winner.